The 66th verse of the Tao Te Ching, quote, "Why is the sea king of 100 streams? Because it lies below them. Humility gives it its power. Therefore, those desiring a position above others must speak humbly. Those desiring to lead must follow. Thus it is that when a sage stands above the people, they do not feel the heaviness of his weight, and when he stands in front of the people, they do not feel hurt. The sage stays low, so the world never tires of exalting him. He remains a servant, so the world never tires of making him its king." Unquote. Living by emulating the sea. Unlike the perception of God as an old white man who created a universe where your behavior may cause you to be sentenced to damnation for eternity, the Tao is perceived as a natural energy. The source of life isn't seen as a deity monitoring earthlings like a king or a dictator, since it doesn't dole out punishments or withhold rewards. Lao Tzu taught that the Tao only asks you to live in harmony with nature. For Lao Tzu, nature's great symbol is water, and he refers to it many, many times in the 81 passages of the Tao Te Ching. When you emulate that element, you'll begin to see that judgment and exclusion have no place in the Tao. Be like the sea, advises Lao Tzu, and the world will never tire of exalting you. The essential message presented in this verse and in many others of the Tao Te Ching is that the ocean is king of all because it knows how to stay low. All streams must ultimately flow to the sea, and in the process it becomes a servant to all. The teachings here are clear. Be humble. Never put yourself above others or see yourself as superior to anyone. The highest power is a yielding valley. Become a servant, not a dominator. When even the tiniest waterways are left alone, they uniquely carve out a path that leads them to the sea. And the great ocean never lords its greatness and power over the rivers and streams. It doesn't rise above them and demand devotion, nor does it threaten them with punishment or extinction if they refuse to cooperate. The sea knows instinctively that the streams and rivers will naturally gravitate toward that which stays low. Using this metaphor throughout the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu reminds you that people also tend to be instinctively drawn to those with intrinsic majesty that emerges from humility and staying low. And this position isn't uniquely held by the great master. Peter, a servant and apostle of Jesus Christ, offers an almost identical message in the New Testament centuries after the death of Lao Tzu. Quote, "Be shepherds of God's flock that is under your care, serving as overseers. Not because you must, but because you are willing, as God wants you to be, not greedy for money, but eager to serve, not lording it over those entrusted to you, but being examples to the flock." Unquote. 1 Peter 5:2-3. Change the way you think about yourself and others as model leaders by looking to the massive, life-giving sea who's patient, accepting, and lower than the streams that flow to it. Then imitate that water power yourself by suspending your ego and releasing the need to lord anything over anyone. The people you're entrusted to lead will gravitate to you and the watercourse way of the Tao's natural flow. You're advised to learn from the way water behaves and imitate it as much as possible in your life. Here are ways to apply the wisdom of emulating the sea in your life today. First, never assume that you know what's best. Even if you're older, wiser, and richer than others, and have more influence and more power than they do, never assume that you know what's best for anyone. Instead, imagine yourself as the great ocean that allows and encourages the smaller streams to come to you. Stay low, speak softly, and remain humble, and let others be in control of their lives as much as is humanly possible. By seeing yourself as the all-receiving sea, you remove your ego from the picture and thus become like one of the leaders referred to in this verse of the Tao Te Ching. No one should feel the heaviness of your directions or be hurt by your instructions. A situation that allowed me to implement this advice occurred on the day I wrote this essay. I live on Maui, and my 90-year-old mother is in Florida, where my daughter Sage also resides. My mother was experiencing a stomachache and nausea from some strong medication she'd taken, so I phoned my daughter to see if she had any suggestions for getting some yogurt over to her. Sage's immediate response was, "We have some yogurt right here. I'll take it over to Grandma's." Rather than giving her an order and instructing her to tend to her grandmother, I allowed my daughter to be of service while I stayed in the lowest possible place. And secondly, remain a servant. See yourself as someone who's on this planet to assist others. Look for opportunities to be of aid, particularly to those who need your leadership. Remember that the Great Sea serves everyone by being a life-supporting receiver of all who wish to partake of her bounty, so practice emulating her by expressing the Tao. Do the Tao now. Dedicate a day to leading by serving as opposed to giving orders. Find occasions to stifle your learned habit of interfering and telling others what to do, and allow them to flow to you instead. Commit to this principle further by encouraging someone to make the decision rather than following your orders.